Hey,
Hey,
buddy.
bud! Look at that!
What's
Look at
going
that!
on?
Let's get us all
God
in the
damn.
same size.
God,
Timmy, what's going on, buddy?
look at the PR department on this new
There's
logo
it
for the
right there.
summer.
The Summer Stubby. This is episode number 10 officially, but this is a Summer Stubby where we just do quick little hits visiting throughout the summer. Timmy, good to have you back kicking. How's life?
I'm doing good, Cloudy. I'm back in business now, buddy. We had a little rough patch there now, buddy, but we're back in business here, Cloudy.
All right. Summer Stubby number 2. It is episode number 10 officially of our 8th season of the podcast. We've been trying to get this guy on here for a while, and we are so pumped to finally make this happen. This is a big deal. This guy not only fits our bill with, being in the beer world, but being a cool guy to talk to. Ladies and gentlemen, fresh off a performance this past weekend at Boots and Hearts, David Boy James. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, boys? How you doing?
Very good, man. Very good. This is David Boyd James here. I'm gonna do a little jig in here. Just deal with me. But Dave, I don't want you to see my giant head. Dave, just fresh off a performance this weekend at Boots and Hearts, one of the biggest country music concerts, not just in Canada, but like in North America. This is a big freaking deal. And you've done this a couple times, right?
I've played Boots and Hearts 2019, 2021, and 2022 this year. So three times in the last few years. So I'm very, very grateful for the ongoing support from those guys.
That's awesome. And we want to get to that. We want to talk about your country music career, obviously. But we always start off our episodes with a 3-beer pod with a segment we call What You Drinking, Bud, where we show up the beer that we're drinking. And I don't know, Dave, are you drinking with us here today? I know it's midweek.
If you don't got, look at that.
There's our 3 beers right there, boys. That looks good.
Wow, look at that. You guys came prepared.
Oh, we don't mess around, dude. We don't mess around.
That's great.
So this episode here, let me stand, brought to you by our friends at Red Barn. I should point out that Red Barn, guys.
Look at that. Great shirt. Great shirt.
I got a stain on it, guys. Let's get a new shirt over here already, Red Barn.
What'd you do?
I get messing around with bleach, so I'd rather not talk about it. But Dave, you got on our radar when our friend Denny and Sandy and the gang over at Red Barn came out with this new beer, and Denny goes, "Yeah, David Boyd James helped," and we're like, "Cool." And I didn't ring a bell right away, and then he started, "No, he's a country music guy." And we're like, "What?" So we looked it up, and we're like, "No shit, how did this happen?" So how did you get involved with Red Barn Brewing Company in Blenheim, Ontario, and spit this beer out?
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me on the show. I really do appreciate you reaching out, and it means a lot to have the support. So thank you for that. I'm always surfing the internet looking for opportunities. I'm looking for ways to just get out there to promote my music and just promote having a good time. And a good buddy of mine, Aaron Allen from out that way, was doing a show at the Red Barn, and he posted this really cool picture of it. And I just thought, wow, this place is really beautiful. And I'm not much of a shirt tugger, but, I had to reach out to them and say, guys, like, I would love to play here. Let's set it up, check out my music. And if you're into it, I'd love to figure something out. And so Denny and I just really hit it off quick. And it was funny because the first time I met him, I drove up. It was the winter time because I wanted to kind of see the venue and, see if it would be a good fit. And him and I just really hit it off. And he's like, "Are you hungry? Do you want lunch?" And I thought, yeah. And he goes, "Well, there's this place called Mike's Place in Chatham that has like the greatest panzerottis around. And let's go check it out." And so we did that. And while this was happening, we get there and the bartender said, do you guys want a couple of Red Barn brews and I hadn't tried his beer yet. And I remember before I took the first sip, I thought, I really hope this is a good beer because I really like the guy.
Yeah.
And if his beer sucks, this is going to be really awkward. And I'm not really a craft beer drinker. I'm a Bud Light, Coors Banquet, lake water beer kind of dude.
Yeah.
And I tried his beer and I loved it. And we just kind of started chatting about beer from that moment forward. And he very casually said, you should do a beer. And I just said to him, I said, well, it's funny you say that because I came up with the concept of backcountry about 3 years ago, before the pandemic hit. and I was approached by another brewery. I won't say who they are, but they're a pretty big name, and they suggested that I put my logo, my design over top of a beer they had already created, and call it mine. And I said, no, I'm definitely not going to do that, because that's lying to your fans. And to me, it wasn't about making a gimmick beer. It was about creating a brand and creating a beer that will be here 5, 6 years from now, 10 years from now. That was the vision. So I turned down that opportunity, and meeting Denny and Sandy and Steve, the brewmaster there, and just the whole family, I just thought, if I was ever going to make a beer, whether it was successful or not, this is the group of people I want to do it with, because it's being made honestly. It's being made, with care. I mean, all these labels are done by hand. So it had a really cool, special vibe to it. And it just made sense, and we just kind of ran with it. And I'm really proud of it. So it's amazing what is my whole mantra in life is thoughts become things, right? And one of the things I love on the can is it actually says that. It says thoughts become things right at the bottom. And
awesome.
right by the bullet hole for your shotgun. That's where you're supposed to shotgun. It's a shotgun hole.
Oh, look at that. I never noticed that.
Yeah.
We missed the opportunity there, Cloudy.
So the thoughts become things is just, this beer is just another example to my supporters and fans that anything in life is possible. You got to really want it and work for it, and find good people to surround yourself to make it become a thing. So in short, that's kind of the Cole's Notes of how that beer came together.
Wow.
That's awesome. And we got you on here as a country music star, but I got to circle back to the beer for a second, because that's my first love. How do you go and develop a recipe then? So you're like, I want this to be my beer. How do you, a guy that drinks Coors Light, go to a guy like Steve or Dan or Denny and go, hey, this is what I want? Because this isn't Coors Light. This is a very crushable, drinkable beer, but it's not Coors Light. So how do you make this beer then?
So we kind of sat down and kind of chatted, just getting to know each other, and he, trying to introduce me to the beer market. And there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to see and do. And I said to him, I said, boys, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know the first thing about creating a beer. What I do know is, I want to create something that is in the similar market as Bud Light and Coors Light, like a crushable summer beer, but I want to give it more flavor. Because one of the things that a lot of people always tease me about when I say I drink Coors Light or Bud Light is, oh, that's lake water beer, that's watered down beer, and I mean, hey, listen, you like what you like, right?
You like what you like, yeah.
You like what you like. I'm not here to hate on anybody's taste, but for me, I wanted to create something that was crushable and light like that. Still a 4.7, in and around that 4.7 mark. So it's not a super light beer, and just add some flavor. And we literally sat down with, I think, like 40 different beers from across the market.
Wow.
Excuse me. 40 different beers across the market. And we poured shots of every single beer. But how we did it is we sampled all the beers, and then we put them in piles of what we liked, like whether it was color, taste, smell. We tried it warm, we tried it cold, we tried it in a can, out of the can, and we created a sheet. Actually, I don't even know if I have it here on my desk, but we created this sheet that showed scores. And it was kind of funny because they were scoring the beers as like professional, brewers, and I'm scoring it, as just some dude that's thirsty, So, and it was funny because as I was tasting it, I was telling Steve, the brewmaster, I said, "Oh man, I'm really tasting some kind of, it was almost like wine." It was funny. You got like 4 dudes sitting at a table, I can really taste the citrus in this one, Yeah. It was funny, but we were able to narrow down, what we were kind of going for and have a bit of an idea by trying other beers, both international beers, domestic beers, you know, popular and unpopular, just to try to get an understanding of what it is we were getting into. Because for me, I really wanted the fans and my supporters to know this is more than just a beer with my logo on it. You know, I really wanted to have my hands on it, and I was even part of the labeling. So I went there with some of my family, and we all sat in the brewery together, and we labeled and ate popcorn. And yeah, man, it was like,
that's
you know,
awesome.
all that kind of shit's really important to me, you know, because
That's
it's
awesome.
like it's something. If I'm gonna put my name on something, if I'm gonna put my reputation on something, I really want to be involved. You know, not just something. Not just a quick gimmicky thing. So I really tried to get my hands in as much as I could and learn, and I'm really proud of it.
It should be. So I've been holding on to these cans because we've tried to match up a couple times. We've just missed each other with just trying to line up schedules, but finally getting on. So this is my first taste of it. What happens, Dave, when we have a guest on, or we do our segment called "What You Drinking, Bud"? We taste it and then we comment on it. I'm ready to call this one, Tim, a crushable beer.
Yeah,
This is
I'll
crushable.
Give it to you, buddy. I'll give it to you.
Crushable. Yeah,
Let's go.
Going. I love it, man. This is a perfect post slow pitch game beer, Timmy. We can sit in the parking lot and crush a couple of these guys.
I love it.
I love that.
Yeah, I love the feel of it. It's good. I love the story. We talked to Denny a little bit about it, but to hear the whole story, that's awesome. And for how much you say Denny and those guys are awesome, we know that. We know that those guys are awesome. We've been big fans of Red Barn. We love the building. We love the beer. We love the family. We love the story. And it's glad to see someone else jumping on board with them too and making this pretty awesome beer. So
I meeting him, no lie, meeting him and his family, you don't get to meet people like that, and it's very rare these days. And they're just such amazing human beings. And I'm like I said, I couldn't be prouder to put something together with people like that. They're amazing. So I'm so really grateful.
They're authentic people, and I think that kind of is a neat tie-in because Dave, we don't have a long history, but we've had about 12 minutes here. But you're an authentic person, and certainly
thanks,
listening and following you on social media and starting to listen to your music. I'm not gonna lie, not a big country music guy. I like what I like, and some of it's country, some of it's this. It's all over the spectrum. But Timmy and I went on a road trip a couple weeks back, and we were pumping it up. We're like, okay, we're gonna have him on. Let's listen to him. And we were like, this is good stuff. Like, I can see where you can get into it. So if you got your nose up to country music or whatever, give Dave a chance here and have a listen to it. DavidBoydJanes.com is the website. All right. So your career as a country music guy, let's kind of you're going to be a brewmaster now, but let's go back to when you were a country music star. Okay. So the story, the joke is, my pickup truck and my girlfriend, and they drove away and the dog. Your story kind of begins there. A woman left you, and then you were like, okay, let's give this a shot.
Yeah. I think when I first started making country music and got out on the radio and started doing interviews and stuff, I took a lot of heat for, how does a country music artist bloom from the city of Toronto? And I would tell all those interviewers that, we don't get to pick where we're born. We also don't get to pick our parents, but I was fortunate enough to have two great parents that raised me in a big, crazy city, but kept my roots in the ground. And my whole family's from the East Coast. And so I grew up with country music being in my family and in my blood my entire life. I think for me, it's just country music is what I feel, I love all different kinds of music, as long as I can understand what they're singing about as a writer myself, that's what I really appreciate the most. I'll listen to anything, and I think people need to not be afraid of what others are going to think about their musical tastes, their fashion choices, whatever it is that makes you happy, man. We get one crack at this life, and you really got to spend your time doing whatever makes you happy. And up until the point of where Sarah and I were together, I was living in the concrete jungle, chasing the 9-to-5 corporate dream. And my priorities were definitely not where they needed to be because I was focusing on all the wrong things. And so I was 33 when Sarah and I broke up. And I remember very, very clearly after she had left, it just happened so quick. It's like she had it all figured out what she was going to do. And when she left, it was within 12 hours she was gone. And I was sitting in this condo. And as any 33-year-old or middle-aged dude is sitting there thinking, man, I got a good job. I got a beautiful place. I got nice things. I got a good family. I work hard. What else do you like? What else do you need to make someone happy? And this girl walked away from all of that. Then it kind of hits you in the pride, and it kind of makes you feel like, well, shit, like maybe it's me, and then you start to realize it's not you and it's not her. It's just you were never meant to be together to begin with, and you just didn't realize that because you were in a different space, in a different headspace. And so it allowed me to kind of take a step back from everything that I had thought was considered successful, to realize that I wasn't successful at all. I just had a bunch of cool shit in a nice apartment, and at the end of the day, it's like, this isn't where I belong. I was in the wrong place. And so I sat down, and as cheesy as it sounds, I just kind of thought, what makes me happy? What used to make me happy? Well, I miss going to the trailer. I miss playing horseshoes. I miss playing darts. I miss going fishing. I miss hanging out with my buddies. I miss having campfires. And then I started to think like, wow, I haven't done any of those things in the last 3 years that I was with this girl. And that's not necessarily her fault. It's my fault for allowing my passions to kind of slip away. And so I just decided, going through heartbreak, because I was devastated, I'm like, well, I'm just going to start doing all those things again. And one of those things was go to karaoke to kind of take my mind off the relationship after work, because I was coming home to an empty apartment. So I started going out to karaoke and singing, and people would come up to me and they were like, dude, like, love your voice. Like, are you in a band? And I was like, no, I'm not going down that road again. I did that when I was a kid. And, it's too much BS and trying to get a bunch of guys to focus on something. And, but it kept happening and happening and happening. And then I finally thought, I'm like, maybe it's the time. I'm not married. I don't have kids, but in order to do that, I'm going to have to walk away from my career I've spent 11 years building. I'm going to have to move out of my condo, move back into my parents' place, which is, I'm in my old bedroom right now.
Love it.
To eliminate all the overhead and all the expenses and stuff I'm going to have to do, because I had no idea getting into the music business, like what the next step was. But I went to this singing competition really in and around that time. And I met a guy named Rick Barker, who was the former manager for Taylor Swift. And he was a judge on this singing contest I was on. And I made it to the top 10 in Canada. And he told me, he said, what do you do for work? And I said, well, I sell furnaces and air conditioners and water heaters. And he said, why? He said, I'm like, well, it's good money. And he says, are you happy? And I said, no. I said, that's why I'm here. And he said, well, I think you should start selling that voice of yours, because I think you have a career in music if you really want it. And I mean, I'm 33, right? So it's kind of like, I appreciate the compliment, but at the same time, I come from a time when, girls were getting picked up at the shopping mall by talent agents telling them they're going to be the next Cindy Crawford, so the stars in the eyes are those days are gone for me. But I thought, why would this guy give me that compliment unless he really meant it? He didn't seem like someone that handed out compliments. So
tell me, you went into the furnace place and you did a Johnny Paycheck and you sang "Take This Job and Shove It."
Yeah,
tell
sure
me
did.
You did that.
I sure did. This is a funny story.
Awesome.
This is a funny story actually. So my boss was a total asshole, and he was a total dipshit, and he didn't appreciate any of us, and I worked hard, and but anyway, I walked in the office and I sat down. I said I wanted to talk to him, and the first thing he said to me, because he knew I was singing, like he knew that I was doing karaoke and stuff just from like conversation, and the first thing he said to me, he goes, Dave, he says, every time I see you, man, you're starting to look more and more like a country singer and not a sales guy. And I say, well, that's a perfect segue, because I'm actually here to tell you that I'm giving you 30 days and I'm out of here. I'm not, normally it's 2 weeks, but I'm going to give you 30 days just out of respect, because I've been here a long time. And, and I said, I just don't want to do this anymore. And he just, it was all about money, right? It's just like, you're going to leave this amount of money on the table. And I said, yeah, I am, because, I didn't say this to him, but at the end of the day, I just didn't want to end up like he did, with
Wow.
He had lots of money, but he was unhappy as shit. So, you know, I don't know. It's a weird thing. You know, Jim Carrey did a speech years back, and he said, "I wish everybody would experience fame and fortune to realize it's not what you think it is." You know, and so for me, from the age of 21, all the way up until 33, I had a 6-figure income, and I was miserable. You know, so it just and now I'm rubbing pennies together to stay alive in the music business, but I'm happy as a pig in shit. So, I mean, it really just changes you, and it was hard to walk away from it because I was used to certain things. I was used to having a bathtub I could fit in, and now at my parents' place, we're not living in nothing fancy here, man. This is just a normal little apartment that doesn't even have air conditioning, and the bathtub, I can barely get my leg into it. So, but it's all about the bigger picture, right? And it's all about just trying to push for something. And I think really for me, when that whole thing happened with Sarah, it was a huge kick to the nuts. I couldn't believe, I couldn't believe it happened. I didn't do anything to deserve it. It's just, I was a stepping stone in her life, and that's all it was. And, but you bounce back and I put out some music and started to kind of get some attention, and it kind of made me think like, well, shit, maybe I got a shot, maybe I have a chance at actually doing something here. And so I'm working towards that bigger bathtub every day.
I love it. David Boyd Jane's our guest here, fresh off a weekend show at Boots and Hearts. There's Backcountry Lager from our friends over at Red Barn. We love talking to you here, Dave. This is awesome. Tim, did you have something there? I thought you were ready to ask something.
I was just going to talk about Boots and Hearts. So you go from singing karaoke to now you're on the stage at one of the biggest country music festivals in North America, if not the world. What is that experience like? Is it the same feeling that you got when you were singing karaoke, or things feel a little bit different when you step on the stage with Boots and Hearts?
Honestly, brother, from the bottom of my heart, it is the same feeling, and it's the same feeling just with a lot more people and cameras and jumbotrons and all kinds of cool shit. And it is the same feeling because for me, once I realized that music is what I really needed, like once that kind of really came to fruition, it didn't matter where I played. And you can ask anybody that has ever seen my show or any of my shows, acoustic or full band. I don't care if there's one person in the crowd or there's 20,000 people in the crowd. I put on a show like I'm at Madison Square Garden every single time because I love to perform and I love to entertain. That is my biggest passion. And for me, when I go out there, every single show, I find a spot in the show to say to the crowd, I used to sell furnaces 5 years ago. I do every show. I don't care how big or small it is. I say, I used to sell furnaces 5 years ago, and anything is possible. You can achieve anything in your life if you want to really go out there and get it. And I think too many people get a platform, and they go out there trying to be this big hot shot, whatever. And you got to use that platform to encourage the public, to encourage other people to chase their dreams. And one of my favorite parts of every show is that moment where I get to imagine that someone is out there in the crowd and they're thinking about getting into music, or they're thinking about becoming a chef or a school bus driver or a teacher or something. And they look at me and they go, look at this guy. He did it. He went out and did it and knew nobody and just trusted in his work and trusted in his work ethic. And here he is. And shit, if he can do it, so can I. And I think that is the most important thing. And you can't lose that, because once you lose that, it's over. And I make that announcement every single show. I find a spot in the show to tell people, awesome, go out and do it. And it's funny, on my social media, I just posted it actually a few days ago. I don't know if it's handy here, but I posted a picture and I said, I can't seem to find it. I posted a picture and I said, it was a picture of me in my uniform. in my my old clothes or whatever from doing HVAC, and trying to find it on the side. I can't find it.
I'm doing the same thing. I don't see it here.
Hang on, I'll get it while I'll try and look and talk at the same time. And I posted this picture for people to see me in my uniform when I used to sell furnaces, and I posted it just to say, like, there's nothing cool about this picture. There's nothing sexy about me with 900 pens in my pocket, a jubilee of pens. But it's the reality, right? It's the reality of like, here it is. Look at this. Here it is. Can you see that? I don't know if it'll.
Oh, there. Yeah, I can see it. We can see it. Look at that guy.
Yeah.
I'd buy a furnace off that guy.
Look at those pens, boys.
Every color of the rainbow.
Right?
Get shit done.
I've got a merch idea for you. Listen to this. So you got your shirts, you got your hats hanging out, boots and hearts. People are like, I want to get a piece of David Boyd Jane's. And then also in the merch tent, a high efficiency air conditioner.
Yeah.
Like it.
And then, like, think of the commissions you could get off of that, man.
I love it.
It was so funny. And it's funny, in the last 5 years, it doesn't happen often, but in the last 5 years, I've had old customers call me because I still have the same number. And they're like, hey man, I just need a quote for an air filter. And I told them, I said, well, I don't do that anymore. But here's who I think you should call.
Nice. And then you gave him Sarah's number.
That's what
you said. Just tell her who sent you.
Listen, I want to tell you. I'll tell you really. Can I tell a really short story?
Yeah, you got time, man. We're nothing but time.
Okay. Really short story. So while all this was going on, Sarah didn't like country music. She hated country music. And anyway, I was in the bathroom one day, and I was singing on this karaoke app that I had. And I did this cover of this song, and I came out in the living room to show it to her. And I said, hey, I want to show you something that I did. And she said, okay. And I said, you got to put the headphones in. She's like, oh, is it the song you were singing? I said, yeah. She goes, oh, I could hear it through the wall. And I said, what do you mean? She's like, well, I could hear you singing it through the wall. She's like, I don't need to hear it. I heard it. It sounded great. Good for you. It's good. Good for you. And I said, no. I said, it's a karaoke app on my phone. And listen, put the headphones in. You can actually hear the music with the song and whatever. Did I lose you guys?
No, you're still there, buddy.
You're still here. You're still here.
Okay.
We're still here.
Anyway, long story short, she wasn't interested, and I always tell this story because after that happened, I kind of went for a walk on my own, and I had this moment of like, am I out in the rhubarb here? Am I just like daydreaming? Should I really just stop pursuing this and just focus on work? And because she told me that day, she goes, are you serious about this music thing? Is this really something you want to do? Like, this isn't what I signed up for. I thought you had a career in sales and HVAC, and now you want to be a country singer. And I tried to explain it to her. It's not, I want to be a country singer. This is my purpose. My purpose is to entertain. My purpose is to be out there and spread a message. And I always think about that day because there's a lot of people out there. Think of it like a child, right? Think of it like a child goes to their parent or their teacher and says, hey, look at what I created. Check out this painting I did.
Right.
And then the parent is too busy, doing whatever. And they just kind of go, yeah, whatever. As it's crazy to think that something that simple could actually derail someone from their true passion.
Yeah.
Like, and I was old enough and smart enough to and lucky enough that this girl actually left me and allowed me enough time to be with myself to come to fruition with, no, she's wrong. This is what I need to do. And the next piece of what I want to say, it's really important that the listeners know I'm not saying this with an ego or with any sort of look at me, but I've had 3 number ones on Sirius XM. I've had 3 number ones on Sirius XM. And had I listened to that silly clown, I would have never been able to say that. So the next time someone doesn't necessarily believe in your passion or your vision, it's so important for mental health and for people to understand it's not because you are not able to achieve whatever it is that you're talking about. It's because that person that you're telling doesn't think it's possible for them to achieve it. And naturally that falls back on you that you can't achieve it. And the message is just interpreted completely backwards. So I like to tell that story because to people that think, you know, I'm not good enough or I won't be good enough, there's only one way to find out. And that's for you to put your head down and work hard enough at it and see for yourself.
That's my favorite song is That Silly Clown. That one you wrote about. I think
that was the whole first record.
Okay, we don't want
thoughts become things, but yeah.
I love it. I love it. We don't want to keep you too long. We're so happy that you've given us this amount of time. Awesome that you got to play Boots and Hearts again, a former showcase winner. But as a guy that goes back, so now do you get a rider? As in now, you know, Shania was the big headliner for the whole weekend, and I'm sure she was like, I want red M&Ms and whatever she asked for. But as David Boyd Janes, do you get to tell the organizers of Boots and Hearts, like, listen, this is what I want backstage?
Yeah, this is a great question because it's not going to be an answer that you're going to find entertaining. I don't care to have a rider. My music director, my tour manager, Ben Miller, he actually sat me down one day, and he's like, Dave, we need a rider. Like you're not asking for anything, and we got to do something. And I said, well, I don't need anything, man. I just want a change room so I can change.
Yeah,
maybe some waters, a couple towels would be cool, and that's it. and he laughed at me and actually and teases me to this day about it. And I tried to explain to him, anything I need, I'll bring it myself. I don't need anybody to give me anything. And that's just how I was raised. And, you know, I have no expectations, you know, for any of that stuff. But you start to learn as time goes on that there are certain things you do need to ask for because they do make your show and your overall stay at the grounds of where you are, you know, more accommodating and reasonable. And so now I'm very, very fortunate to, you know, I get a trailer that's air conditioned. All I ask for is a case of room temperature water because cold water is not good for the throat. And then I met an artist named Emily Reed, who is a phenomenal Canadian artist living in LA. And she said to me, she's like, I know if you feel bad asking for things, just ask for your band. You know, do it for the boys. And I thought I can get on board with that.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so now, you know, nothing crazy. Just, you know, we get like a case of beer, maybe a bottle of red wine or Jack Daniels or something. And half the time we don't even touch it. So, you know, but nothing crazy. Like I just, you know, I ask for some towels and stuff just to wipe our face when we get off the stage and that. But a nice little space that's air conditioned is always appreciated. But yeah, nothing wild and crazy.
2 cases of backcountry.
I don't even ask for that. I just bring it myself. But
there you go. There you go.
I should.
That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. We've kept you for a long time here. Congrats on the success so far. Just on the beer side of things, this is awesome. This is definitely crushable.
Yes,
Dynamite.
Thank you.
Backcountry Lager, DavidBoydJanes.com. You can go to Red Barn Brewing and find that. You can get that delivered all over the province, or get it right from the tap over at Red Barn. That is awesome. But before that, F Sarah, goodbye, girl.
Yeah.
Like we hate her. We're on Team Dave. We're Team Dave.
You know what? You know what? I just want to say something really quick, and I appreciate that. But the one thing that really helped me get over that, and I think this is an important message for other people that are going through something similar, is you can't fit a circle into a square. And that's it. You know, Sarah was a great girl. She was a beautiful girl, smart girl. She has since gotten engaged, and I think that's great. And I wish her nothing but the best. And I mean that. I sincerely mean that. But I learned that, you know, sometimes we give lifetime expectations to people that are only supposed to be there for a minute, and then we wonder why it never worked out. So if you're in a situation where you're not happy, whether it's your work or your personal life, it's important to realize that you have all the power to change that. It might be difficult. It might be hard. It's not going to be easy. but you have the opportunity to change that, and I'm very grateful that she cut the chains and let me walk and do what I'm supposed to be doing. So, but I do appreciate that message to Sarah. So
that's awesome, Dave. We're having a drink next time you're down to Red Barn. We'll get
100%.
together.
I would love that. Well, I'll tell you, I don't know the date yet, but I was talking to Jenny last week, and the plan right now, I believe, is October for me to come back to the Red Barn for an acoustic show. So
now we're there.
So I hope you guys can be there, and maybe we can 100%. Even do like something live at the barn or something. That'd be fun.
For sure. We will. We'll make sure that happens. That is awesome. Hey, this is a summer Stubby. This is number 2 of the summer, episode 10. Guys, cheers. This was a lot of fun. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, guys.